Welcome to Miniature Reenactments, everyone. Today we are concluding the battles of Alexander with the Battle of Gaugamela. This was the final engagement between Alexander's Macedonian forces and the Persian forces under Darius III. In this battle, the Persians were waiting for the Macedonians to arrive, so they had time on the battlefield to clear the flat terrain of all debris and obstacles so the chariots could have a clear path wherever they maneuvered. Modern historians have described it as clear as a pool table. Nervous after having been defeated twice by Alexander, Darius switched his deployment around several times until he finally decided on cavalry in the front along with scythed chariots in the center. The second line included infantry with some cavalry on the flanks, all lined up in a row. The third line was a thick mass of infantry with extra deep ranks, a better setup for maneuver and charging. The Macedonian deployment had one large line in the front. This included the companion cavalry on their far right with Hypaspes to their left. Phalanx was lined up all along the center, and Macedonian cavalry took up the left flank. Alexander then had a second, smaller line made up of phalanx of Greek and allied origins. As the battle began, the chariots charged toward the Macedonian right, directly into the Agranian skirmishers, who broke up their lines with javelin tosses. The Persian cavalry swept around the Macedonian right to get on their flank, but Alexander was there with his companion cavalry also trying to get on the Persian flank, and the two cavalry forces met head-on. In the center, the Macedonian phalanx pushed forward. In so doing, they created a gap near their left where the Persian cavalry slipped through and took advantage to get into the Macedonian rear. Back on the Macedonian right, the Persian cavalry, seeing that they had run headlong into Alexander and his infamous companion cavalry, retreated. This had a demoralizing effect on the nearby infantry, who also turned and fled. The Hypaspes, meanwhile, stepped aside and allowed the Persian chariots to go through, and they threw their javelins into the spokes of the wheels, causing them to flip over, thus breaking up their attack. The phalanx continued forward all along the front, scaring away the Persian elephant riders, who also retreated. The only area where the Persians were doing well was their own right, the Macedonian left. That cavalry clash was going in their favor, and their cavalry, who had exploited the hole in the Macedonian line, rushed for the Macedonian supplies. Once again, as though Alexander had been anticipating this move, the rear phalanx was perfectly placed, and they turned to meet the breakthrough cavalry. The Persians might have pulled off a great flanking maneuver at this point, but instead, seeing that his left flank had folded, Darius again fled the field. With the Persian cavalry in full retreat, Alexander was free to maneuver, and he found Darius's chariot in all of the chaos. He narrowed in on the enemy commander, but he was stopped from charging by a report that Parmenio, commanding on the left, was being driven back. Alexander could yet lose this battle if he did not hold his lines together, so he pulled back and rushed his companion cavalry over to the left flank. About halfway there, he learned that the Macedonian cavalry was rallying and beating back the Persian cavalry, so Alexander renewed his pursuit of Darius. By that time, however, the enemy commander was gone. His army, too, was in shambles. Never again would the Persian army attempt to clash with the Macedonians. Though Alexander was unable to catch Darius, his own men did find him. When they caught up with their leader, who had twice abandoned them on the field, they slew their own emperor. Alexander was surprisingly disappointed by this. He had great respect for his opponent, and felt it a lowly death to be murdered by his own troops. And that was the Battle of Gaugamela. We hope this was educational for all of you, and that you enjoyed this series of videos on the battles of Alexander the Great. Next week, we'll begin a series on the battles of Napoleon. Subscribe to see those videos, and share these videos and tell your friends about them if you enjoy these. Thank you all for watching.